I'm back for the third episode of the Press Conference podcast. Today I've managed to convince Ben Towse to speak to me. If you didn't know, he's the man behind that viral Connect 4 Twitter game between Hull City and Bayer Leverkusen. He talks me through the whole backstory, as well as giving me some expert tips on what football content performs best in lockdown, and also his route into his current PR and social media job, which didn't include a university degree.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? I used to grow tired of the traffic and having to go an hour or two to work, but you do tend to miss it quite quickly when it's taken away from you. So it's a little bit weird being stuck inside, but getting out for a little bit of exercise where I can, obviously, and then that's about it. So coping, but I'll be looking forward to getting back to it, really.
Yeah, lots of Call of Duty.
Plenty, not too many Warzone wins, but I've been trying.
Class. So are you sort of local to Hull then? Is that where you've grown up?
Yeah, I've not actually moved out of Hull. So I've lived in Hull all my life. More into rugby league when I was younger, but always followed football. I always had an interest in the Premier League and obviously Hull. And obviously the role itself was, it was one I couldn't really refuse when it came up. So that was a really proud moment for me.
Yeah, obviously. When did you first sort of join the club then?
So I joined the club just under 2 years ago. So it was September 2018. So literally we just kicked off the 2018-19 season. We didn't have the best of starts that season, actually. It was pretty poor. So like when I joined, I think we were sort of somewhere near the bottom. And then we had Middlesbrough at home where we drew 1-1 and thought, yeah, not too bad. We then went to Sheffield United, lost, which put us bottom of the table. So I'm thinking, wow, this could be interesting.
So have you sort of, was that your first job in the industry or have you done stuff before?
No, I worked in rugby league beforehand, so a little bit of sort of, it's a weird route in that I've taken, to be honest. A lot of voluntary stuff that's led to a full-time role. So if the best way I can put it is that I used to run a little fan account for Hull KR, who's the rugby league team in Hull. So there's two, there's Hull KR and Hull FC, and I'm a massive Hull KR fan. So I used to follow them all around the country, wherever they were. As well as doing a Twitter account, which was just like an unofficial thing where I would sort of just put my opinions and thoughts on there. And I think that gave me the chance to make a few mistakes where it wasn't paramount that I made it accurate 100% of the time, that I could make those mistakes and learn from it before I stepped into a professional environment where I sort of already had a little bit of experience in handling something that wasn't my own personal account before jumping on. The Hull KR team originally noticed it and brought me on board on a voluntary role. So that was the end of that account. So that ran from when I was about 13. So I started that in 2013. I think I was about 14 there.
Yeah.
And that carried on up until 2016. So what's that, 4 years? So it was a decent amount of time, but it was while I was still doing my GCSEs in school and just stepping into sixth form and stuff like that. So it gave me the opportunity to learn a few things and sort of develop a passion that I had whilst I was still in school.
So did you sort of start in GCSEs and did you always think, I'm going to go to uni and do this sort of thing? Or did you go to uni? What was your sort of path?
This is the thing. It was a bit of a weird one, and I don't know if it'll be frowned upon really, but I didn't go to uni because how it happened was, I was in year 9 when I started doing the unofficial Twitter stuff. Obviously, I think it was 3 years later, it'll be coming into sixth form. My first year of sixth form, that was when I took the step into the club. So that was only a voluntary role where I'd do little web articles. I'd do bits for the TV site, Hull KR TV. So there was all that I did little bits and pieces for. Nothing too strenuous. Like I was only doing like a day a week or anything like that. But it was important for me personally to be in a position where I was following the club that I was passionate about, and also able to sort of have a little bit of inside knowledge and behind the scenes and learn a bit more about the industry as well, because it was the first real taste of actually having somebody direct me, because beforehand I'd just been doing it myself. So it was nice to have that. But from there, I got faced with a little bit of a dilemma where I finished college. I could have gone to uni, but I also had another opportunity to go and work for the City of Hull Academy, which was the merged team, the academy, so the youth team between Hull KR and Hull FC. It had recently been formed at the time, and there'd been nothing put out on their social media channels. And I thought, you know what, I really wish I could take this on and change it into something that you know, that can put the academy and shed a bit of light on the youth team and things like that. So fortunate enough for me, I put that forward at Hull KR. I said, look, I've seen that they've got social media set up. Nothing's been done with it. There's a new academy that needs pushing, because when it was first set up, there was a little bit of anger towards it, like the two clubs merging their academies. But the system itself was good in itself. It's split apart now, and they've gone back their separate ways. But with that, it gave me the chance to go in a bit more permanently. I still wasn't getting paid for anything. It was still a voluntary thing. But for that year, I took it on. So I was juggling at one point college. I was working in a restaurant at the time to get a bit of money as well. Obviously, the role at Hull KR continued, and the role at the City of Hull Academy now. So it was like four things trying to juggle, and it got to a point where I was like, one of these things is going to have to go, because I just couldn't handle all of them at the same time. Like, I wasn't getting enough done in one place because I was prioritising another. And in the end, I finished my college course, did well in it, and I could have gone to uni, but I took the decision to try and progress and make a full-time career out of it. While I was getting the experience, that I knew there was a route in there to get a little bit of experience and go full time. And even though it was, you know, it took a while. Like, it took me a full year to get a voluntary just working at the restaurant to keep me afloat with money. Yeah. And then I had the role at Hull KR and the City of Hull Academy role, which were both voluntary. So the only source of income I had was that restaurant role. But after a year or so, I think, so we're going into 20. So this is 2017 now we're talking. That role was made full time because the media channels had really picked up and would improve the perception of the team itself, because, as I mentioned before, it was really struggling in terms of like the people's perception, especially fans. It was struggling with attendances at matches. But that all seemed to improve off. I'm not suggesting that it was the only thing, because there was a lot of hard work that went on behind the scenes. With the people that were there, and that was, you know, it was really important for me to see what went on, and I think that was why it was important to be there more. So I still have the opportunity to go to uni, and it is something I want to progress in the future, but I just had to take the chance. It was a little bit of a gamble at the time. I wasn't getting paid for it, but I just wanted to take the gamble and work hard and try and get there off my own back in a way, and just try and get there without having to take a break from it all, maybe lose the opportunity that I had to go full time, and then I'd start from square one after uni, because I just wouldn't be able to juggle it all.
Yeah, like you said, Dad, I don't think it would be frowned upon not to go to university. I think you've done it a very sort of clever way, and you've seen a route in. You've pitched an idea to someone, and you've done it. You know, it's a very, you know, the traditional route, the sort of route I've gone down really, is just the university route, which many other people have done. But you've sort of, you know, maybe skipped a few stages and got into where people want to be after they finish university, which is really impressive. Do you think it's better to get the hands-on experience rather than just the education?
I think it's good to have a blend of both if you can. Like, I still want to go to uni, as like I said. So I think employers will look for both. But for me, from my personal experiences, it's obviously going to be a lot down to hands-on experience. Like, I've got full-time, I've got 4 years of experience already, and I'm only 21, so that's not too bad. But obviously that doesn't take away, because I know there's a lot of hard work that goes into what happens at university. So obviously I think it's important that you can still get that qualification. Like I said, that's what I'd still like to get one. But I think if you have the opportunity and you've worked your way in voluntary and got the sort of people around you to help you, I don't see why you wouldn't take on that opportunity at the time. Excuse me. So that was just my personal opinion, is that I think employees look for a lot if you've got it, especially at a young age. If you've got that experience, I think it probably shows that you're willing. And I'm assuming you'll have gone the same way. Have you done the same things, or what was yours like?
Yeah, pretty much. I think nowadays, you know, obviously with social media, it's so new. Probably in the last maybe 5-10 years, not sure. It's so new that so many clubs are catching on to it now, and we're the sort of generation, I mean, we're similar ages, we're the sort of generation who knows we've grown up with it, do you know what I mean? So we're at the forefront of it. So, I mean, you can go to university and learn about it, but really if you sort of want to learn how to engage audiences, get the numbers, like I've seen you've done on Hull City's channels, then you've got to go out there and do it, I feel. And, you know, just looking at yourself and what you've done, it's really impressive. It's sort of made me think, you know, why have I gone to university? But I mean, there's different paths for everything, obviously.
Absolutely, everyone takes a different path. Nobody's path's going to be the same, is it? But like, please don't think that to anybody that's watching that I would take away from anybody that's going to university, because it's still something that I would like to do personally. I think it's still important to do that, but just for me personally, I had to take that gamble at the time. Just with it being there, almost the opportunity was there for me waiting, so I just had to go for it. It was a bit like, at the time I was thinking, have I done the right thing? Like, I really should have stayed and done uni, because I could have done, but I just thought, sometimes you just got to seize the moment, and you just got to try. And the thing was, even if it didn't go right, I wouldn't have to wait long to go to uni if I wanted to. So I just took the gamble with that, and fortunately it's paid off. But I think it's still important to have that qualification to your name.
So if you were to go to uni, what sort of degree would you be thinking of doing?
It's changed, because obviously I would have done a journalism degree back then, but I think, I'm not saying it would be wasted, but I think I'd rather do a marketing degree, because it's something I have a little bit less know-how on. Obviously, I'm still working on that. I still do a lot of marketing within my role, but I think having that qualification to back that up and having a little bit of knowledge within that area as well, I think would really help. So I think for me, I'd probably do marketing now. But when I was planning on going, I was going to go to I was either going to go to Preston or to Huddersfield to do like sports journalism.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I looked into it, and I did like the idea of going, because in a way, it's not just the academical side you miss; it's the social side as well. Like, I've not had that chance to live in halls and stuff like that. Like, I've lived at home like my entire life, and it's a bit of a shame to have missed out on that opportunity to experience that, whereas a lot of my friends have. But at the end of the day, I had to do what I thought was right for my career at the time.
Probably get to see your friends at university and stuff as well. I mean, you go to probably their halls and have a few nights out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I did at the time. There was I went to a few. So I went to Lincoln. There was obviously Hull, and there was some others as well. I can't remember, but it gave me the opportunity to have a sample of it, and I guarantee it wasn't always like that, but it definitely seemed like, you know, something that I missed out on it in a way, and it's a bit disappointing. But like I said, you just got to do what you think's right, and that's the path I followed.
Well, I mean, you took the right path, it seems like. So, I mean, your job title, PR and social media executive, what does that sort of mean at a club like Hull City then?
The overall role itself, what I do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so for me, my role sort of consists of mainly social media. Like, we have a press officer. I'm just like the understudy, if you like. So there's my line manager's called Dan, and he's the press officer. So he'll deal with the majority of the press, sort of the requests, player appearances, stuff like that. But I was sort of brought into that role to learn a bit more about the press side of it. I said at the time that, you know, my social media experience is great. I've not had an awful lot of press experience, because that was what was worrying me in my interview, is that, like, yeah, I can do the social media side of it, but if they're looking for somebody who already has sort of knocked down press knowledge, I'm probably not going to be the person. So I just said at the interview, like, look, you know, my social media skills, I feel competent with that. But with the press side of things, it's something I need to learn and I'd be willing to learn on. And unfortunately, I think that's what they were looking for, obviously being an understudy to the press officer. And I've had two people in that role, so and both of them were very helpful in terms of learning more about the trade, in terms of press, dealing with the requests and everything that comes in around that, dealing with the players as well. Like, my sort of influence with the players has been different this year to what it was last year. I think just through learning how to get the best out of them, really. So I think my overall role, like, it consists mainly around social media. So the day-to-day running of it, dealing with a strategy of what we want to do, like a long term. And I think you find it during the season, it changes, doesn't it? Like, you find things that work, find things that don't, and you already want to change them. But I think it's good to sort of wait till the next season so you can have an overall, like, reset, if you like. I feel like that's nice to have that refresh. I don't know if that's something you found as well, but I like to sort of try and keep with the strategy until the end of the season, so you get a sort of full idea of what's working and what's not. But I think that's the main bit of my role. But also with the press side of things, I do like take on press conferences with the players and stuff like that. So we'll have the gaffer that goes around and does his press requirements pre and post match, and then I'll take the play around as well. Yeah. But that's the main bit of my role, is dealing with the social media, and then just a little bit of press commitments on the side as well.
It's interesting you said about the interview bit where they sort of favoured your work experience side. I'm picturing there must have been a few other people who, you know, would have had degrees and stuff, and you're probably going in there seen as the underdog, really, if you don't mind me saying. And you know, you've
that's how I felt.
They've chosen you as because you've got a proven track record. You know, when you're applying for that job, did you sort of get headhunted for that, or did you apply?
Very weird. It's an interesting story, actually. I'll try and explain it as simply as I can. At the time, before I moved to City, they played the KCOM Stadium, which is obviously the same as Hull City. Now, my current boss, I ran into on the day, and I wasn't particularly having a great day, to be honest. Like, I was just feeling overall pretty down about stuff, and then I ran into my current boss, who was also somebody I knew at Hull KR. So he'd moved from Hull KR to Hull City. I think it was just after I joined Hull KR, but obviously knew him well enough. And he bumped into me. He was like, "Have you seen this role at Hull City? It's a social media job. I think you should go for it." And I was like, you know, I've got nothing to lose. Like, I enjoy my job in rugby league, but like stepping into football would be a whole new like dynamic for me. And although like rugby league's my passion and it was something that I was into for a long time, obviously I had an avid interest in football as well. So literally that was a Saturday, and on the Sunday I spent the full day like altering my CV, updating it. And I remember I was like on it until about midnight, and then I like finally submitted it, and it was just a case of like waiting then. So I still had to go through the interview process, but obviously I had Joe, who's my boss, like just giving the heads up on the inside as well. So there wasn't any like, there's no favoritism. I still had to go through the interview process and do all that, but I think it probably helped having knowing somebody there already, and that definitely helped me settle in as well, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, it's all about contacts, this sort of media industry, isn't it? That's sort of what's got me my role as well, from knowing people at York, you know, before, you know, the applications even went live, you know. So it's a big thing, sort of knowing people and just being friendly with people and nice, and, you know, showing what you can do. What I'm interested in is the sort of structure of the media department at Hull City. Have you got quite a few sort of media members then, different specialist departments?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're quite. I'm not sure in the grand scheme of things. I'm not sure how like Premier League clubs like operate in terms of like structure. But for us, we've got two. So we've got a website editor. We've got a program editor. So somebody who frequently does the website, and he'll put all the content on there. And then we've got obviously the same with the program. We've got a graphic designer. We've got two videographers, a brand manager, press officer, support liaison, and me. So what does that make? 10 or 11? And then you've obviously got the marketing and commercial manager as well within that as well, who oversees everything. But I think that's quite a big team. I'm not sure in comparison to other championship clubs how big it is. I would imagine it's relatively big. I don't think it's the biggest, but I think it's relatively big. Yeah. But
probably depends on how big the club is as well, right? I mean, Hull City's quite a big club, so I suppose they need quite a few people.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's constantly busy, and there's these guys put in, guys and girls, a lot of hard work, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that keeps it running, and it's sort of almost like I'm the sort of last person it comes to before it goes out to the public, really. So it's it's still a big role, but there's a lot that happens before it, for like signings and stuff like that. Like there's a lot that happens beforehand that goes into that, if that makes sense.
So what's your sort of role on a match day then? What does a typical match day look like for you?
So we usually get in about 4 hours before a game. So if it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, we'll be there for 11. Normally I'll have had everything scheduled in the morning. So like the match day tweet will have gone out. The reminder of if you're not at the game, you can follow on Tigers TV. So it's just like we have like a structure on a match day that leads us up to me getting in. And then I don't. The thing is, I've never been a person that liked to keep social media so structured and stagnant. Because I just think that you're not really engaging with your audience if you're just putting the same stuff out time after time after time.
Yeah.
But for the first few hours, it's a case of like, it's a match day, get down. Any important stories that need to go out on that day. So if there's like if it's dedicated to a certain match or anything like that, or like there's the helpline we have to put out for anybody that comes to the match and sees anything that they don't want to see. And then it's just a case of when we get in, just chatting with the photographers, making sure they're happy with what they've got to do. So I'll go across and talk to them if there's anything that needs taking pictures of. Like I'll let them know of that. Checking the change rooms, making sure sort of we've got photos of the change rooms and stuff like that. And then just making sure I've got everything prepared. So for a match day, obviously the graphics are already done for me and they're absolutely brilliant graphics, but then it'll be down to me to change them for the teams and stuff like that. So, and for half-time, full-time as well. And that's alongside doing all the Twitter and Facebook on a match day. We've recently split it up so that my line manager Dan, because he has a part in the social media as well, he'll do Instagram on a match day, and we just felt that was to get a bit of better coverage to Instagram, because we find it the biggest growing out of our social media channels.
We're the same.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure we're getting a better coverage to it on a match day, and it's proven well. So for instance, I'll do the Twitter match updates and Facebook match updates. So for Twitter, it'll be any major chance, goals, yellow cards, red cards, half-time, full-time. The one that we focus on majority of the time is Twitter, but then half-time, full-time, and obviously lineups go on Facebook. And beforehand, it was literally just a full-time post on Instagram, but now we've sort of implemented it so that Dan can take over a little bit more and do goal updates. So if we score, we'll put out a picture and say, we've scored 1-0 up, or we've pulled one back. But you've got to judge it. Obviously, at the minute, obviously with how our results have been, it's been a little bit more difficult to judge what's right and what's wrong. But trying to keep as consistent as we can with it, I think, was the main thing. And it's still, the engagement was still good. It's just obviously probably not for the right reasons given the recent results.
Yeah, it's interesting. You put you sort of split up that who's doing which social network. On match days, we obviously it's just myself in our media department. I'm the full-time person, and then we have various sort of interns and then volunteers who help us on match days who are sort of just fans. And one thing when I took over, it was like we literally did nothing on Instagram, like hardly anything. But this season it's literally grown over double, and that's just because we've been posting stories on match day. We do like the sort of Twitter feed, but on stories on Instagram, and then obviously we do what you've done as well. And we have live. My photographer shoots like live photos to my phone and stuff, so then we can just post them when they score. I think that works really well. Do you sort of have a system you use, and like what sort of programs you use? I'm guessing it's sort of Photoshop and stuff like that, Premiere.
Yeah, so me personally, like for match days, I'll use Photoshop. If there's any video stuff that needs doing, like obviously our videographers do the majority of it, but for little small bits that need doing sort of ASAP, I'll use Final Cut for that. They've set me up an archive with all of our games on it that we've got, so that helps. If there's ever a goal I need to quickly put out, I'll just have to go into my archive and set that up. But nothing too strenuous on a match day. I think like I've uploaded all of our goal graphics to the media studio, so literally it's just a case of like you don't even have to wait to upload it. It's just finding it in the media studio, searching for it and getting it out. Yeah. Don't tend to use TweetDeck or anything like that on a match day. Just try to stick to the sort of vanilla site if you want, because that's just how I found it best. But I don't know. It's good, but I always found it difficult last season. So this is when like I was handling Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the same time. I always found it difficult to juggle all three, and I knew we could get more out of it. Mm-hmm. So that's why, like, I don't particularly like. I'm quite stubborn with like what I like doing, but it was tough to sort of give up doing something because I don't want to seem like I've sort of given up on it, if you want. But I just know that we can get more out of it, and if we've got more team members that have got the time to do it, then we've got to do it. And I think that's what you've said yourself, isn't it? Is that like utilising as many people to keep as many people as busy as possible. Like, everyone's busy on a match day. It's frantic, but I think just making sure everybody's got enough on their plate and make sure they're not overloading it as well at the same time is important. So I focus mainly on Twitter and the Facebook, and then leave my line manager to do Instagram, which she does really well, and we've seen like good results off it. Like you said, yours has doubled, ours has done pretty well as well. So we're happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like you said, it's very intense on a match day for media people. You know, what sort of time do you actually finish on a match day? Because I've had a few late ones.
it really does vary, unfortunately, because the tough thing is for me to juggle is getting out post-match content whilst also trying to deal with the press commitments. Because the thing is, like, the players are really good, don't get me wrong, but if they don't know they're doing press, they'll just go. So I have to stand outside the changing rooms and wait for them to come. And you know, there was a time last season where I literally just snuck off to quickly put a match report out because I wanted to make sure it was out quickly. And in that time, the player that I was after had come out and gone. So I had to chase after him and go. Fortunately, it was away day, so he only went and got on the bus. But it was I literally had to chase after him. I think it was at Loftus Road. And the thing with Loftus Road is there's three exits to the changing rooms.
Okay.
So you never know which base to cover with that place. So I made the same mistake this year where we'd literally just snatched the last minute winner. I was like, right, need to get press done quickly, get the player out, and literally trying to cover 3 exits on your own. You're like, where am I supposed to go here? Like, where are they actually coming out of here?
That's like one of the hardest things for me. It's like, you know, you want to post the match report because it needs to go out literally on the whistle, and then at the same time, it's like a race because all the players are getting changed. They're wanting to go as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the manager knows what he's doing. He goes straight to press, but when you get the players out, they just want to go sometimes, and then it's hard. Like, you know, sometimes I've missed players, and I'm just like, oh, I mean, at York, just getting the car and drive off, so I've had to go in the changing room and get someone else out, you know, and just say, oh,
yeah, you have like a backup every time, don't you? Like, right, so if I've missed this person, I'll get this person. But it never goes to plan, does it? You put a plan in your head and you think you've got it covered, but I find it worse definitely when you've won or it's been a good win, because you want to get that content out quickly because that's what people are after. But when you've got to juggle the press side of it as well, it's not so easy because you're trying to hold your laptop in one hand, keep an eye on who's coming out of the changing rooms, and like anything else you've got to deal with. It can be a lot to juggle, especially that like in that short space of time. But then at the same time, you've also got there can be times where you've either lost or something like that, and one of the plays that you're after, like, they won't know, haven't done it knowingly, but will just take forever. Like, they will just be in there. Like, I think I've waited at least an hour and a half for a player to come out of the change rooms after a game, and it's like, I can't remember when it was. It was recent, but it was you just sort of sat there waiting, you're twiddling your thumbs at that point, especially if you've lost, because it's like you kind of reduce your content based on the severity of the result, really. But it was it was just a long old wait, especially with it being a loss as well. It's just like you just sat waiting and you just want to get on with it and get off, really, because it's hard for everyone. Like, the play, obviously it's worst on the players, but even for us, like, I'm passionate about the club and what goes on. So it's disappointing for me when we don't win and when we're not sort of on a good streak of wins or anything like that. So it's difficult to put that to one side and just sort of look at it as if it's just like, you know, just putting out the content that needs to go out, because you know that you don't, like, not all of it's going to go down well. Like, for instance, you're sort of obligated to put out the highlights, but if you've lost 4-0, like, nobody's going to take that well.
Yeah. I always get the comment whenever I post highlights, and I think we lost 4-1 probably a few months ago now, actually. And I put the highlights out this 4-1, and you know, the first comment everyone's just put was just like, highlights? These aren't highlights.
What highlights?
Yeah, it's just like I know there's going to be one. It's like the first comment every time. It's just like, come on, say something original for once.
Which is where I sort of combated that at one point. And I mean, it was a one-off thing. You can't really do it more than once because the joke kind of dies. But we were in good form. So I think in that week we'd beaten Forest, Derby and Fulham. And that was the one where we won 3-0 away at Fulham. So that was like an absolutely ridiculous time. And then I think just before the international break, we went to Huddersfield and lost 3-0, and it was just like an absolute capitulation. So that one with the highlights is a difficult one. So I literally just put at the top of the tweet, like, that tweet, is going to get abused, but you have to put it out anyway. And to be fair, that actually turn the opinions of people on that tweet. And it's like, it's not. Sometimes you've just got to level with people. I think like it's not possible all the time, because you've got to maintain a bit of professionalism, and that's trying to work out where that line is. I think is quite difficult. So like I try to engage with the fans as much as I can, but find that professional boundary sometimes can be like, can I tweet that? Is it going to go down well? Like, is it worth it? Like, what's the backlash of this going to be? So I think you just got to judge that a little bit. But for that, it seemed to nail the time, because obviously we'd only lost that one game in as many, like, in 4 or 5 weeks. I think we were 5 unbeaten at the time. So if there was any time to do it, it was definitely them. But it's just judging it, isn't it? Really, it's hard to judge your audience sometimes.
No, I might use that line on when we next lose the game.
Oh, feel free, take it away. Honestly, I'm out there.
But it's interesting because obviously there's a big factor whether you win or lose. It's a really emotional sport, is football. And
yeah, absolutely.
When you win, well, when we win especially, everyone's so high. But when we lose, even one game, we went on a 20-something unbeaten streak. We were us and Liverpool were the only unbeaten clubs in the top 6 divisions or something. And we lose a game, and everything just goes downhill massively. And for me, I'm sitting on social media. I've just started the job, 20 unbeaten. It's brilliant. Like, the stats are going through the roof. The actual PR change at the club is, all positive. I can be more sort of funny with the tweets. I can put a lot more. I can be a lot more, out there with the tweets, and it's a lot easier when you win. That's what the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. Oh, massively, and it's obvious, isn't it? But it sounds so stupid when you say it. Like, oh, it's easy when you win, but it genuinely does make a massive difference to everything. Like, even if you've been, like you say, like on that 20 match winning streak, like one loss and everybody's panicking. It's like, well, just calm down. Like, it's not the end of the world losing one match, but it feels like it. And even personally, you feel hurt by it, 'cause it's just like you don't want to lose, but you can't stay unbeaten forever. And even though we had that great winning streak, now it's sort of like we're struggling massively for wins at the minute, and it's down to injuries, most of it, but you still take it personally. Like, I've been to every game this season, so I've seen the highs and the lows of this season, and it's hard to take. It really is. Like, even though you're not out there on the pitch, it still hurts like it would be, or like you're a fan. Like, it hurts us. Like, we're on an away day, like it really does hurt us if we lose, or even our home match as well. Sorry, it still hurts. It's just you've got to continue that professionalism of, like, you can't just throw the towel in and not put anything out. You've still got to put the bits out that they're important. So, like, people might not want to read the reaction or the match report or the highlights, but you still got to put them out there, because if you don't put anything out, like, you're not really helping yourself, because it's always going to make the comeback to tweeting again. It's going to make it harder. So there is certain circumstances that it would be appropriate to not tweet, but certainly after a loss, it's like you can't justify not tweeting for days just because you've lost a few games. Like I said, we've been struggling recently, but we still tried to keep it consistent. Well, before the break, obviously, we were struggling, but I'm hoping when we come back from the break that it'll really help us.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I wanted to go on to the super intense Connect 4 game we all saw over social media with Bayer Leverkusen. Just talk us through that, and how did that come about?
It was a bit of a strange one, really, because I think I wanted to hit the ground running with this break. Like, I wanted us to be on stuff and be seen to be sort of keeping spirits high. It's a tough time for everyone, and we're not trying to undermine that at all. But everybody needs a lift. I think everybody needs a little bit of a pick me up to say, this time is tough, but we're going to get through this, and it's going to be all right. But so that day, I think that was the first day, obviously, of like the proper like lockdown routine. I think we'd just been told to work from home at the time, so it was starting to get intense. So it was like, right, let's chill this out. So during the day, I'd actually done something off my own back where I just invited fans to play FIFA. Like, it was only like against me, and I didn't obviously name myself, but it was nice to sort of just show that interaction with fans. So I played 3 fans, won 1, lost 1, drew 1. I'm absolutely terrible in the game. But, and the players got involved with that as well off their own backs. Like I didn't need to tell them, and this is where they're really good. Like even during tough times, they're still willing to help out. And I don't know if you find the same, but I think having that relationship with some of the players, like where you can, where you're able to come to them for stuff like that, is really important, especially during this time where you've got not a lot else happening on the pitch. You need to be able to communicate with them and put that aside, really.
Yeah, I think with us, it's obviously a bit different now because they're all on furlough, so I don't have access to any of them. But they're all. If you have a relationship with a player, it's great. I can text them. If I need anything from them, they're normally really appreciative. Especially at sort of our level as well. I think it helps sort of because they don't really get that coverage more often, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they love it really. Interviews, anything, they're great. But I mean, back onto the Connect 4. So Bayer Leverkusen, did you sort of message Bayer Leverkusen, or did you just reply to their tweet, or?
Well, I'd seen that Man City had hijacked Southampton's earlier in the day because Norwich, they were playing Norwich originally, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So this all does link up back to the thing. So it was like we were just trying to be engaging at the time and just try and show some sort of engagement with the fans and sort of whatever we could do. And I said after the FIFA thing, right, that's it. We've done it for today. We'll try something else tomorrow. And this was after, obviously, the Norwich, Man City, Southampton stuff. And I'd seen that had been hijacked. And then I was just scrolling through, I think it's my personal account, because I followed the Bayer Leverkusen account off my personal account. And I'd seen that somebody had challenged them to a game of Connect 4. Just a random person, like not a club or anything. Had just challenged them to a game of Connect 4. They'd replied, and with 50 minutes gone, there was no response. So the game had actually been kicked off, but it finished at that. And Leverkusen thought, well, that's it, we'll take the win. Yeah. And at that point, I'm thinking, right, the person who runs that account, she's really taking it by storm. And obviously, they've done a lot of good stuff. The likes of Roma as well have done similar stuff. Yeah, so those English-based foreign accounts are really kicking off well. But I knew that they'd be interested in something like that. It was just a case of whether they'd seen it in time before they were asleep. Because it was quite. I don't think it was particularly late. I think it was about 8 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we got into it. And I just replied back. So it was a little graphic at first, which was done off, I don't know, it might have been like an Instagram story, like do it with your finger type thing that was done. So I literally started it off like that, and then they changed it to the emojis on the screen, and that's when they replied and kicked it off. And I'm thinking, all right, here we go. So this could be interesting. I was thinking, I don't think it's going to do at the time I was thinking, I don't think it's going to do like massive numbers, which I was wrong. But it's stuff that'll just keep us, like keep me entertained. I wasn't doing anything. And sort of hopefully a few fans will get behind it. And then I wasn't really checking numbers for the first few tweets. And then as it got into it, my phone started slowing down. And I was finding it really difficult to reply to things. I'm thinking, what is going on here? And when I look back, it's like, oh my word, there's so many likes and replies coming in. Yeah. Just a lot of people picking hold of it. I think the thing was, it was just such a random set of teams to come up against each other.
Yeah, I did raise an eyebrow when I seen it.
That's it. But obviously, you can kind of understand the Southampton and Man City thing because they're obviously both Premier League. But when you look at Bayer Leverkusen for taking on Hull City, I'll be surprised if them two ever come anywhere near each other in real life ever. But it was just, I just knew that was something that they would be interested in doing. There was no message. There was not we didn't communicate behind the scenes at all before or after, to be honest. It was just an impromptu match really that just took off. And I realised at first that I could have wrapped the game up really early on. There was a chance to wrap it up. So basically, obviously, when you do Connect 4, if you get 3 in a row and there's one either side, literally you can finish it. But I'd noticed it, but not done it because I thought,
on purpose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Right.
I probably should have mentioned it at the time, but I mentioned it in the tweet after. But I had done it on purpose to sort of keep the game going because I thought this is getting started and it was starting to kick off quite well and the numbers were starting to increase. So I'm thinking, do we end this now and risk having a really good night of it? It's not the most it's not the most fun content, but it's just so bizarre that people were enjoying it so much. So we kicked on with it and to be honest, I was sweating. Like, I was really like trying hard. Like, right, so you've gone there, so I need to block off that and go there and attack that. And it was just like, it got to a point. I realised about 4 or 5 tweets before that there was no way I could lose. I'd only either draw or win it. Obviously, as it went further on, like, I was really focusing, and there was a point where I'd obviously taken that long to reply that they'd put out a tweet of like time wasting and stuff like that. So I was struggling. Like, I was really thinking hard about it. I've never tried so hard at a board game ever in my life. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous, and it's so stupid that it kicked on and it got the numbers that it did. But like, sometimes that's what social media is about, isn't it? Like, it's not always the best content that gets the engagement. It's just stuff that in the moment just works, and it did work, because it was just something like, I don't know if anybody had ever played a game of Connect 4 on Twitter before. I'm assuming they will have done, but certainly not 2 professional football clubs, and that was unreal. Like, my phone afterwards, like, I couldn't even use it. It was just frozen. Because obviously, like, all the replies and the likes were coming into that full-time tweet at the end of it. And to be fair, I was buzzing. I was absolutely buzzing when we won it, and it's so geeky to say that that I was absolutely buzzing when we won it. But it's just, you take pride in what you do, don't you? And it's nice to, it's nice to have that reward of seeing how well things go sometimes. And I'm sure you'll feel the same. Like, when something goes well, you do get that pride of seeing how it's gone. And although it was only a game of Connect 4, it felt like a big moment for me, like, personally, because it was just like, it was the best like reacted to it we've done. Like, we've got tweets that have got like a lot of likes before, but I think nothing like that in terms of reactive content. Like, that one really just hit the nail on the head.
That was sort of like just worldwide sort of viral, wasn't it? It was.
Well, that's it. Like, it's a stupid thing, but when you've got like, there was BBC Sport, Match of the Day. There was loads of other people that were joining in as well, and people that were trying to get likes off the back of it, which is expected, which is a real surreal night for me. Like, a German Bundesliga team, you're thinking, what has my life come to here?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I saw that. I don't know if you've seen. I actually copied it on the York's Twitter, and I tweeted Luton, because they were our rivals.
Was that?
Yeah. So I tweeted Luton, and I seen Havant and Waterlooville had done it to Eastleigh, and Eastleigh had just replied like, no.
Yeah.
And then they got loads of likes, and I was just like, to be honest, I might try it with Luton, because I know that either not going to reply, and then I can just say, oh, you're scared, or they're going to reply something like that, which they did. And to be honest, I know they sort of like mugged us off, but it's getting our name out there, and like you said, our Paddy Power reported on it, like loads of people reported on it, and it's got York City's name back in there, if you know what I mean. So like, absolutely. Like, getting a championship club to tweet us and then getting loads of likes, now that's a win for me. I don't care if they mug me off. I thought it was fun.
It's like, with stuff like that, like, it really doesn't matter like who comes out on top. Like, Leverkusen still got great interaction, although they didn't win. I think ours was just better, like, not probably just based on the fact that we'd won, but excuse me, even if we'd lost, like, the engagements were still good, even if it has like, if they have come back and like, taken the mick a little bit, and Luton did, but it still works. And like you said, it got York out there, whereas you could have just sat there and done nothing, and that wouldn't have happened. Like, you take your wins and you take your losses, unfortunately, but it's good to be able to still be able to pick out a positive from something where it was a little bit of a laugh, because that's all it is. Like, nobody's actually going to get upset over it. It's just finding the right way to reply to stuff, isn't it? And sometimes you just absolutely nail it.
Yeah, I mean, someone replied to it and said, you do realise now that we're going to do a car park protest, albeit 2 meters apart, to hound you out the club. But yeah, it was
a good laugh.
In terms of social media impressions and stuff, that did really well for us. I mean, what kind of numbers did that do for you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh no, I don't know the general, like the total of all the tweets, but the last tweet itself was 29,000. I think it got up to 700 likes in the end. So just short of 30,000, which was actually better than what at the time, I don't know if it is now, but it was at the time better than the Southampton Man City game. Mm-hmm. So it actually did more likes than their full-time tweet. So like, that was important for me, I thought, because I thought, like, people have really, really taken an interest in this, regardless of where they are, whether it be like the support Premier League team, League One, League Two. conference. Like I think there was a lot of people from different clubs just keeping an eye on it, and it was quite embarrassing when it's like you're getting hounded to go faster. You've got people like properly pressuring you, and it's like you feel really under pressure. And I was, like I said, I was genuinely sweating. Like I was trying so hard.
So we're in this sort of quarantine stage now where there's no football going on and stuff. For like the other sort of social media managers or, you know, executives and stuff, what's sort of the best advice you would give them in terms of content during this time?
It's hard, isn't it? Like I think different things work for different people. It depends on your audience. It's a really hard area to answer, and like for me, what I've done and what we've done as a team is just try and keep it as lighthearted and as easy to read as possible. So like, for instance, we've been doing like continuously doing goal of the days, like no football, but you know, at least you've got like flashbacks to remind you of what, you know, some fantastic goals that we've scored. For doing the full match replays on a Saturday as well, Saturdays at 3:00, they've gone down really well. Like people just still having that football fix where they wouldn't have had normally without any football. So that sort of stuff was really good, and it takes a little bit of setting up. So like our video guys take a lot of time to put that together and get it on YouTube, and then it takes me a bit of time to get everything scheduled for the right time. So fortunately, at first I was trying to work out where in the full match replay the events were happening. So you're trying to like work out. So for instance, with the first one, with Diame's goal in the Sheffield Wednesday playoff game, it's like trying to work out exactly what minute that's going to happen in the stream to put it in. On social media at the right time. Like that was really difficult. I spent like at least half a day trying to work out like timings and stuff like that, because there was a lot of tweets to put out. You still want to be pushing it to people without sort of deterring them away from it by putting all the highlights on Twitter. So it was like getting that balance of doing that. But now we've put a code on the tweet that goes not the tweet itself, but when I upload it, it has the time on it already. So like that made things easier. Other things that we've been doing, so we did obviously we challenged people at FIFA. That was a little bit of a laugh. We had the players doing content. So fortunately, I don't think I was a furloughed. So what we've been doing is just getting them to do little bits and pieces of. So for instance, Josh Bowler, one of our wingers, he's done like a little skill challenge. We've got our centre back Ryan Tafazoli. He was doing like a gym workout type thing. Yeah. And we've had other bits and pieces, as well as just like. We had a lot of requests for birthday messages, obviously, in this time where people had so many plans to put nice things on for their families. You know, all that's been taken away from them, and it's really sad to see that's the case. But if we can do anything to help, we will. So people that have emailed in or have contacted us directly, we've just been getting the players to just send little video messages or FaceTime, like not even just for press, just to. Like we've not reported on any of it. Like it's just been behind the scenes, like little chat with a player or a little video message saying happy birthday and I hope you're keeping well type thing. And it's just stuff like that it's, you know, it's not going to improve the day 100%, but just something to put a smile on someone's face, especially on like a day like a birthday as well. That's all it's about really. And I'm thankful that the players are quite helpful in terms of doing that, because obviously it's not really content we can use to put on social media, but it just helps our supporters. And, you know, I try to do as much as that, and we try to do as much as that as we can in terms of trying to keep people's moods up, especially during this like tough time as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's good to hear, to be fair. Just one last question I've got for you, which I'm going to ask everyone who comes on this podcast.
All right, okay.
What is your dream job?
I've got to be careful. I don't know who's watching this. I've always been somebody who wants to travel. So like, I don't know exactly if I can pinpoint what my dream job would be, but definitely I would like to. I've been stuck in Hull like all my life, and as much as I love it, I definitely have ambitions to move away. So like, whether it be to within England, I'd like to move up to the Premier League at some point, like, and take that on. I think that would be a massive challenge for me within the social media area. But I think the thing is with social media is it's not going to last forever. Like there will become a point where it's almost like you're too old to take this on. Unfortunately, like I'm 21, I've still got a little bit of time yet, but like I feel that you've got to be pretty much in the know with like a lot of trends and stuff to to take part of it. And you can probably still do it, but like I think being in that environment frequently with your friends where you know what's going on, I think that helps. But I think for now, social media, but either be a Premier League club, like one of the top end Premier League clubs would be an absolute dream for me, or going abroad somewhere and experiencing another culture and somewhere completely new, even learning a different language, I'd be happy to do. But obviously that has its difficulties. If you want to take on a social media job, you should have to be relatively fluent to do it. You know, for me, just exploring a little bit. I want to be able to get out of Hull at some point and sort of experience what's out there, because I just enjoy being. I've always enjoyed travelling, but being able to live somewhere else for a bit, I think would be amazing.
Yeah, possibly a Bundesliga club English account, eh?
I'm not saying anything.
Thanks again, Ben, for coming on. Throughout all these podcasts I recorded over lockdown, I've actually enjoyed this chat the most. His knowledge and passion for social media is really impressive, and it's quite interesting how he actually got into his role at Hull. It definitely makes you think that university isn't the only route in today's climate. I also just want to say, recently we made it to number 14 in the Apple Podcast chart, beating some big digital agencies and national organisations in the marketing category, which is absolutely amazing. I knew there was a digital sports community knocking about, but I didn't realise how strong it was. So I have to say another big thank you for the unreal support after just 3 episodes. If you're not already, you can help us break the top 10 by rating this podcast with a review, preferably 5 stars, and also share with everyone you know. This just helps the podcast reach even more people through the app and would really catapult it up the rankings. Thanks again for listening, and hopefully speak to you again on Friday for another episode.